and welcome to Roll Call. And today's episode is actually going to be a little bit different from our normal formula because instead of taking a dive down Jennifer Lopez's blockbuster hits, we are going to be traveling down her other avenue of business success, which is her music career.
Yes, music, fashion, her personal life, just a little bit.
Yeah, we figured as we were starting to get further down this podcast that there's so much more to say about Jennifer Lopez in addition to the great movies that she's done up to this point. But we noticed that at the end of 1998, 1999, she took a bit of a break in her films. And that's because she released her first studio album and was getting busy making musical performances now. So we figured we can't talk about the movies without giving a proper acknowledgement to her music career and how she really became the personality of J-Lo.
Yeah, I'm just going to apologize in advance if I go on some tangents, some musings.
Well, we noticed in the past few episodes that when we're doing like what was happening during this time, movies that came out in this time, general pop culture of that time, we started to have more and more like banter or follow-up comments or questions because this is beginning to be a very peak blossoming time in our adolescence. And as cringy as the aughts were, I think it's also very fun to talk about, especially the millennium.
Yes. Oh my God, the millennium. So, I mean, how do you feel about Y2K?
I laugh because that was one New Year's Eve that I really remember because it was the first time I legit saw my parents get wasted.
I do feel like I remember watching Disney Channel and like they had like a bunch of like fun stuff going on and probably like a decom was on, and I feel like I remember watching Zoog Disney all day and stuff like that. So that was the tip of my Y2K, and definitely had some Martinellis chilling on ice. But yeah, all right. So what should we talk about first? I know we were winging it, so we don't really have an outline, and I know we loosely said that we're going to talk about fashion, music, and kind of her personal life a little bit. What do you want to start with?
I feel like music would be a logical place to start because that also leads into her personal life and relationships. And then we can maybe like cap things off with fun fashion.
So music, June 1st, 1999, Jennifer Lopez comes out with On the 6th, her first studio album, which to some is a big departure and kind of random. It's like she's becoming this big movie star and people are really seeing a lot of potential in her. And they're like, why are you all of a sudden want to do music? Like, and it's not a bad concern to have because it's very rare that you have a movie star who can transition to music and be successful at music as much as they are a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like one of the few I can think of who's done that successfully, like from movie star to musician. Usually you have musicians who wind up, acting and stuff all the time. There's so many rappers, so many singers who've become actors and actresses. But it's very rare that you have a movie star who can also sing and be a recording artist.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of my earliest, most vivid memories of Jennifer Lopez was her music career. I knew that she had been in movies and had seen her before, but because now it's way more like being piped down your ear holes on the radio and TRL and music awards and skate nights, like those were like songs that you just heard over and over again, and then that almost becomes like what I started to associate her with more.
It's always interesting to hear like whether someone who's a triple or double threat, like what you kind of resonate most with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely remember Selena and watching that before J-Lo made music. So, but I do think that her music is more potent in terms of her career in the 2000s and early aughts than her movies are in a
Mm-hmm.
weird way.
Well, I think that's because this is where she almost like blooms into this new persona. I think she uses with her second album of J Lo, when that came out, she started to wear her necklaces that said J Lo, and that's where we see this like nuanced personality.
Yeah, we start to see a distinction, but
Mhm.
we're jumping ahead a bit to J-Lo.
Yeah.
So on the 6th, I never had this album. I never listened to it really prior to us preparing for this bonus episode. You, however, have some memories with On the 6th, right?
I do. Yeah, I definitely had that album. Um, that album, that little ditty. I had it on CD.
At the same
But
day.
I had it on CD, and then my mom had a cassette track single to Waiting for Tonight because that was definitely a Jazzercise song.
Okay, so on the 6th, what do you remember about listening to this album?
Um, I remember skipping to the singles a lot because that was what was comfortable and familiar to me. But I think this might have been, besides Gloria Estefan, because we definitely had Gloria Estefan on cassette and CD, but this might have been one of my own albums that was bilingual, that had songs in Spanish. And so I remember listening to like the Spanish covers of some of her songs and being like trying to pick out this, yeah, and trying to like pick out like, okay, this word must mean this and this word must mean that. So I mean, it was kind of like an early Rosetta Stone.
Yes, thank you, JLo, for exposing us more to Spanish. I think that's a common thing, though. Obviously, as a child, you listen mostly to what your parents listen to at that point,
Yeah.
until you get some form of listening to music on your own. Even then, like I had CD players, I had boom boxes, but I only got music for like Christmas or like birthdays. I never was like, Mom, I want to go buy this CD or anything like that. It was just kind of what they listened to and then what they bought me.
Yeah.
So I do get into moods where I will like pick an artist and just deep dive. I feel like that's what's going to happen with Jennifer Lopez just because we're doing this. I feel like music sometimes finds me at the right time in life. There's been albums I've listened to and been like, oh, it wasn't really my jam. And then later I've listened to it and I'm obsessed with it. And it's like, I know I listened to this before and I gave it a shot and I was just like, whatever. See, I'm going on a rant.
Well, see,
I don't even know what I was talking about.
No, like, well, it's like when you like discover an album later, or you discover an album again, and
Yes.
or you might be a little bit late on the scene. Like that was me and Lizzo. I let too much time pass before I really gave Lizzo like a good listen, and now I'm like,
I have not. And she's someone I feel guilty about like not really having the desire to listen to because I think she's an impactful artist and she's important, especially like at this time and like her body image stuff and all that, like super amazing. But I think this happens too. Like some people get overplayed and I think you do this with TV shows where someone talks about a show so much or a song is overplayed and you're just like,
exactly. Okay,
I'd rather
yes.
not.
Yes. I know, I totally get you. That's how I feel about Breaking Bad. Like so, or like Game of Thrones. And now we're like saying shit that's gonna piss the other person off because you like that.
But yes, it's okay.
I'm sure it's great maybe one time, but it's just one of those things where like people keep chalking it up and you're just like, all right, well, now I basically know everything that happens. Or like, no, because you told me to watch it. I don't want it.
But what I was getting to with J-Lo and the point of you like skipping to the singles, I feel like there's a lot of CDs like or just music where you're young and you just want to hear what you hear on the radio or you see the music videos for. You don't really do a deep dive and as a child really and listen to a whole album. Like there's few albums from that time I can remember like just listening to the whole thing, like mostly Destiny's Child, but
Sorry, I'm
too.
signaling. Yes, me too. Writings on the Wall was the first album that I like did a deep dive. Besides Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, like I
Yeah.
kind of put them in
Okay.
like a special category.
So Backstreet Boys is a CD I got. I got NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, like all for Christmas with my CD player. And
what a lineup! Oh my god,
I know, right? And Mom, how white of you? Like, even though my mom's black and I'm black, but I'm curious why she bought that shit now. But thank you. But like besides NSYNC, all those other albums, I only listened to the songs I already knew. Like I've never listened to all of Millennium. I've never listened to all of Britney Spears' first album or Christina Aguilera's. Like I listened to like Oops, I Did It Again.
Yeah.
You Drive Me Crazy, Genie in a Bottle, Show Me the Meaning of Being like those. And then NSYNC was the one album I was like, oh, this whole thing bangs. But
no strings attached.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not No Strings Attached.
Celebrity.
Their first album.
Oh, just
NSYNC.
tearing up my heart. Yeah. Oh.
So, but Destiny's Child is an album I for sure listen to front to back. Anyways, I feel like this on the 6th, if I got this album, I probably only would have been playing Waiting for Tonight and If You Had My Love. Like, and then Feeling So Good and maybe Let's Get Loud.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of slow ballady jams on
I
here.
was not into slow ballad jams. I mean, My Heart Will Go On, yes. And maybe a small other select few, but like I usually was like, I was skipping those.
Yeah, I still am not really a ballad person. These on this album I like because it's like a mellow, jazzy, soft ballad. I can rock with that because it's kind of like a meditative, like bubble bath song. Like a crazy vocal ballad like Mariah Carey or something, like not really my jam. Now like her upbeat songs, like her hip hoppy R&B songs for sure, but some of the ballad stuff is just like no, thank you. But besides those songs, having listened to it again now, what are some songs that like you're like, I'm glad like as an adult I can appreciate this, or that I've come back to this and now like this song is nice. Like
yeah. I'm gonna pull up this album super quickly just so I can make sure that I am pronouncing everything correctly. And of course, we will edit this out. But it's been in my recently played. So I will say that every morning when my students are logging into class or either walking in my classroom, now that we're in person, I always start every period off with a song. And I know I told you this when we saw each other in person this weekend, but I always, depending on what I'm in the mood in, is what I usually play. And so they've been on like a huge Jennifer Lopez trip. So like the past week I've been playing them in. So some other songs that I kind of gave a second shot to was Should Have Never.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that was like that was not bad. And probably Let's Get Loud, only because I think If You Had My Love and Waiting for Tonight were the ones that I played the most.
Yeah. Should Have Never is a bop. I'm just saying. Like,
yeah.
It's just like it's weird because like these songs like that on this album kind of give me like a Toni Braxton vibe, and I like had a huge Toni Braxton face, so I was like, yes, sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed I never knew about Feeling So Good prior to this. Like I was like, where has this been all my life? Fat Joe, Big Pun, like even the music video is like pretty dope and fun. Um, I will say the song that's been like stuck in my head the most is No Me Ames, which I'm like kind of surprised about because Mark Anthony, I always kind of, I'm not Latin, so I don't really know in terms of like his popular. I know he's a great singer and very popular, but like him and J-Lo to me was kind of like an odd pairing. I was like, oh, okay. But after listening to that, watching the video for No Me Ames and then watching his video for No Me Conoces, I hope I'm not butchering that, but his video that she stars in, like, I'm like, oh, they were just a delayed, like, wrong time, wrong place situation because I see it.
I see it.
And then shout out to the Spanish version of Waiting for Tonight, Una Noche Más.
Yes.
It is a bop.
Yes.
But yeah, those are my my picks from this album.
What would you categorize this genre of music? Would you say it's like Latinx pop with R&B influence? Like what do you think?
So when Jennifer Lopez was doing press for the album, she called it Latin soul, which I think is a perfect explanation.
Okay.
And when she was talking about recording the album and wanting to do the album, she wanted it to be a reflection of like her, what she grew up listening to and stuff. And I think it's a great mix. And it really is reflective of her upbringing musically, because you have the R&B elements, then you have a little bit of hip hop, then you have like the Latin music, which ironically was all of a sudden an explosion in 99 because Mark Anthony, Ricky Martin, and J-Lo were all ascending musically, or people were finally listening to them. So all of a sudden now that mainstream America knows who they are, it's an explosion. Latin music, just like any other music, has always been there. It's just about like when, you know, pop culture decides to shine a light on it or pay attention.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like Selena, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think Latin soul is a great explanation for what this is, because I definitely feel like it has a soul, and she's Latin and it has Latin elements too, like Baila. Every time I saw the name of it, I just think Baila esta cumbia, Selena, but you know, but the song, it reminds me of like a Target ad. Like it's just like that in the music video is very simple, and to me, I just feel like you could splice that right into like a back to school ad or something. But that's my thoughts on that. But yeah, Latin soul.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. I like that description. I like that. So we can talk about vocals after we talk about both albums, or is there anything about these vocals in particular for On the Six that wow you?
I think my commentary on vocals for the J-Lo album will be very different than my commentary for this album. I think it's important, and I think it's good to establish that Jennifer Lopez knows she does not have a strong voice. I've seen in some of the interviews I read, like, you know, she knows she's not a Whitney, she knows she's not a Mariah, but she knows she can carry a tune, and she can like convey what she wants to convey. And I think the most important thing too that probably helps with the success of her transitioning to music is that she like loves it and she has fun with it and she really wants to do it. It's not about like trying to be bigger than just being a movie star, or like, I'm famous now, let me dabble in this, or, you know, it's really like something she always wanted to pursue.
Yeah, it's not, she's like, oh, I'm going to do this for shits and giggles, like a housewife would record a stupid single on Bravo.
God, yes. so many housewife songs, like, and
Uh,
people shat on J-Lo wanting to make an album.
I know.
Go.
And yeah, you can tell like she genuinely likes this and she really is serious and continues to really take her music career very seriously.
Yeah. And so I know that come the JLo album, there's some controversy with some songs on there in terms of background vocals and stuff like that. But I would like to point out that I don't think that there's anyone singing on like No Me Ames or like Una Noche Mas for
Mm-hmm.
her.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I honestly, I don't think there's a lot of, to me, I couldn't pick out like, oh, the backgrounds on this sound like vastly different from Jennifer's voice or anything. And I
Mm-hmm.
just want to point out that having other people sing background on your records is not a normal. It is a normal thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we expect like it to be like featuring so and so, especially when it's someone relatively like we know about.
Yeah.
But there's so many background singers, who are only in the liner notes of an album and you don't know until you, and that's the beauty of physical media, is like having the CD, pulling out the cover, looking at the liner notes,
Oh, that was
reading the
so
lyrics.
fun. I used to hang up like album art from like our CD jackets and would like, especially the type, I mean, gosh, Drink for Every Time Simone mentions Titanic, but like especially that one because it had like, it was almost like a little mini movie poster. My boyfriend, he's in the, Kevin was just like, woo. But yeah, we would like hang up all the like CD art. I don't think I hung up this album, but
I'm now disappointed because part of me wants to see her liner pictures, and I didn't think to look that up.
they were very similar to the album cover.
To
Like,
the cover.
yeah, she's
Same
just in
photo shoot,
like,
pretty much.
yeah, pretty much. It's like the white kind of underwear shorts and the top.
Yeah, this might get cut, but one album liner I remember gawking at as a kid is Genuine's 100% Genuine.
Oh,
Oh,
describe it to me.
abs.
Oh,
And obviously Destiny's Child, like, because also with groups you learn who the band members are. You're like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Like,
hmm
I
hmm
know who's who now. Um, what were we talking about?
album art, genuine. Anyways,
Prior to that?
looking at the inside of J Lo's album, like what
Oh,
that
but
would
I
look
was talking
like.
about background singers.
Oh,
Okay, and her
yes,
vocals.
you were. Good job. And we're back.
And we're back to vocals. But I don't expect a lot from J-Lo, so I went in this low expectations. I know the two main singles, so some of it surprised me, and I'm pleased with her vocals. I don't think there's much else to say about that. Like, she reminds me a lot of Janet or like Britney Spears,
Yeah.
where they have enough to like get by, but really they're entertainers. Like, they're
Yes.
able to do the hardcore choreography, and they have amazing like looks, like in terms of
Yeah.
fashion and stuff like that.
And
And
like their
so,
set and stage designs are incredible. There's like lots of stuff to like all the aerial acrobatic stuff that these performers will do too. But I totally agree that J Lo, I think, still has better vocals than Britney. But I think what makes them very similar is that they both just like live to perform, and most of what their concert's going to be, unlike Beyonce, where you're going to get like slow ballads and like raw vocals, but then also like lots of fun dancing numbers, you're not going to get that here
yeah.
with these shows. It's more just like really good dancing, fun, upbeat, and like maybe one slow song.
Yeah. Did you by chance get to watch any of her like performances from this time and like of these songs?
Yeah, I did. I forgot. She's not the one who invented like fans blowing in your face, was she? Because I feel like my early memories of divas were like her being in front of wind.
I feel like so. I think I read something that like an article where writers like riffing on how she's like this diva and she has all these demands, and one of them was about fans. So it might have been J Lo. I know Beyonce is infamous for
Totally.
standing in fans and getting her hair cut in a fan. So
I,
um, yeah, I wonder if it was J Lo because Mariah. I don't think I've ever seen like outside of a music video, like for live
yeah.
performances, like her,
Yeah.
like, in the fan.
Hmm.
Definitely not Whitney. Maybe it was J-Lo.
I mean, I know that like when she debuted on SNL, they definitely poked fun at that. And I think I just
Yeah.
said the word definitely a billion times. But um um what were we just talking about?
Her
Vocals? Oh,
performances.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. So I don't think she lip syncs. I think she does sing mostly live.
I thought
And
she lip synced on SNL. I was like, I
well,
smell
I think most people back then
Ashley
did.
Simpson.
Oh, oh, for sure, for sure. I think more and more people now are singing more live, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I don't know.
think SNL, I feel like she recorded her singing like kind of live. And
Mhm.
I feel like I don't mind that. But like when it's clearly like you're just playing the song, like, come on. Like,
Yeah. Well, and I think my last kind of comment about the performances is that these also seemed so much more mellow and tame compared to other performances that we see now. Like
yeah.
it's so much more theatrical and glittery.
Oh yeah, screens and all kinds of stuff. I really liked her. I don't know if it's Kids Choice or Nickelodeon, but I was able to watch that performance where she performed Feeling So Good. I really
Hmm.
liked that performance. Her performances on Oprah. So Oprah, I think she sang live. And
Okay.
I was like, see, she knows where she is and she's okay with that. And it's not terrible. Like give her a break.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, JLo vocals, give her a break. Like, and I think she sounds better, honestly, in Spanish. Like, her voice seems better. I don't want to say better suited, but
Hmm.
it does seem better suited for Spanish, and it seems stronger in a way that it doesn't
Oh,
in
that's so
English.
interesting.
Because,
Because
like, No Me Ames, like,
yeah.
solid to
Ye
me.
oh,
Like,
f definitely. Definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to go back and watch that one again and like compare it to like a Spanish version of that song.
yeah, but all right. So on the 6th, I say it's a solid album. Wish I listened to it back then, but I'm glad it's in my Apple Music now, and I have done a deep, 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 deep dive on eBay looking for vinyl, and I bought one so far. So yes, I'm on the JLo gravy train. So
Yeah. I love that.
any more
So,
to say? Oh, music videos. We can't not talk about the music
oh,
videos.
yeah. I mean, I remember the Waiting for Tonight music video being on TRL all the goddamn time.
Yeah. So did you watch the making the video for Waiting for Tonight?
I didn't. Did you?
Yes. And I remember that's my first memory of, I probably said this on a regular episode, but like post Selena of seeing JLo again and being like,
Hmm.
wait, what? Like, I
Hmm.
thought she died.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Being very
But
confused about that.
yeah, I remember watching the making of the video and liking the song at the end when they show you the completed video.
Hmm.
Watching it again as an adult, it's really interesting to see like how long the video shoot is
Hmm.
because it like goes on till like the early hours in the morning and they have to get like these shots at night and they're trying to make sure it's not like getting lighter and all this stuff.
Wow.
There's there's a part in the video where J-Lo is on a plexiglass and they green screen underneath her, like the crowd. So it looks like she's like dancing above the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And watching that, that was interesting because it was smaller than they had anticipated. Also, her choreographer for this video is Tina Landon, who is infamous for being the choreographer for Janet Jackson, for
Oh,
Janet and maybe Velvet Rope. But it was cool seeing her in the making the video, and she's in the video for a little bit. But the plexiglass scene, that was interesting because she's like, I don't know, this seems flimsy, I hope it doesn't like break, and just the things artists do to try to, you know, achieve stuff.
I
And
know.
then at one point the lasers, like the green lasers in the back,
Yeah. Pew, 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 pew.
yeah, that's like not brand new, but that's pretty new technology. And one of them burns her shoulder, which
Oh.
she just soldiers on. She's like, and she's like, I think it burned me. And they're just like, oh no, you're fine. And she's like, no, I think it burned me. But like, they're just like, and continue. Like, but that was, I think I miss making of the video. Like, and
I know. Didn't that premiere like right before the actual music video would be had set to premiere?
yeah. And I feel like now we have so much of celebrities in a certain way with social media, you know, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like, I feel like there's like not as much glamour, you know, anymore. Like the mystery and the like shine of it is kind of like gone now because we know so much like about what
How
goes
it's
on.
made. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think making the video and like I watched her MTV's Diary, like those things were like super rare. And like those are things fans poured over just watching over and over again because it's like you get a glimpse of like who they might be behind
Yeah.
the scenes.
Absolutely. It's almost like getting to see backstage at Disneyland and like
Yeah.
seeing like some like never before seen things, or like watching like how parades are rehearsed and how they like put stuff together. Like it's, but the more you see it, the more you come desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And
And
I
it's
I
like, oh,
totally get
yeah,
that
it's
point.
cool. But
Yeah.
I know like how they get there. Like,
Yeah.
so
It
it's
was
like
like a
watching
magic
Unwrapped
trick.
or how it's made. You're like,
Oh, God. Mark Summers, I miss you so much.
So music videos,
Yes.
we talked about waiting for it tonight. So for the longest time, until I just rewatched If You Had My Love,
Mm-hmm.
I thought the guy in the video was John Seda, who plays Chris and Selena. And it
Oh.
is not. It is
Ah.
not. It is Adam Rodriguez, who is also famous from CSI Miami.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, it's him. How could I get those two confused? That is purely like one of those, what's that effect where you think it's one thing?
Oh,
Like
the
you're,
Mandala effect?
yeah, like the Bernstein Bears, like it's the
Oh, yeah,
Bernstein
yeah,
Bears and
yeah.
stuff like that. Totally Mandala effect myself because like I just watched it like for the first time this month or, you know, prior to this. And I was
Hmm.
like, it's not John Seda. It's not Chris. What? But what I will say about that movie is like it's so futuristic in an optimistic way and in a cool millennium way.
Hmm.
And I feel like it low key predicted the future because he's watching her on her website and, you know, gets to, and I feel like that's pretty much what social media kind of is now.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But yes, I love that video. I love the looks in that video. I love the
Yeah.
dance break, like with the baggy pants and the sneakers. And yeah, she just looks great. And did you watch the No Me Ames video?
I didn't.
Oh my God, you missed out. It's like
Uh,
a
I-
telenovela at its finest. Her and Mark Anthony bring it, and it's amazing. Also, I like the Feeling So Good video. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I was lame and I just went back and watched the two hits.
Feeling So Good is like I feel like Feeling So Good is like a glimpse at what we get with J-Lo, because it's like she's in the Bronx, she's like low key Jenny from the block
Mm-hmm.
early on. Um, it's just very New York, and I think that's cool because she said that when they were shooting that video, like the director or somebody was like, "So like, what's beautiful? Like, what can we shoot here? Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot." And she's like, "No, this is it, and it doesn't. It's beautiful in a different way because this is where I'm from."
Yeah.
And even now, like she always brings up, I'm just the same Jennifer Lopez from the Bronx and from Castle Hill. And even this early, she was rooted in that. And I
Mm-hmm.
just read something where she's like, people are like, why do you always have to bring it up? And it's like, because it keeps me grounded. And when I say it aloud, like it just reminds me, so oh well, like I'm gonna keep saying it. And I think that's kind of cool about her.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it's like kind of annoying, like, yeah, we know you're Jenny from the block, you're from the Bronx, like we get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, people trash people or celebrities who like get famous and then forget about where they came from.
Yeah, totally.
So it's like she's actually always repping for the Bronx and talking about it, and I commend her for that.
Yeah.
The Byla video is very simple. She's just like dancing with a mic in a short, shimmery silver mini dress, very early 2000s, late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so segueing from music, do you think her venture into music successful? Yay or nay? Yasty or
Yay.
nasty? Yay.
Yes. Yeah. Yesty or nasty. What do you think, little? Okay, if you could get inside the mind of Lil Raj, how many stars? How many stars would he give on the six?
I don't even think Lil Raj listens to like this kind of music.
Pretend he
Okay,
does.
yes, he's a music critic, and I think Little Raj gives on the six either 3 stars or 2.5.
And
I
why do you
don't
think
what.
what why? I'm just guessing.
I think he gives it 3 stars because it it has solid hits, like catchy songs, and I think he would kind of say the normal things about her vocals, like she's not, a strong vocalist or anything like that. There's no standout
Mhm.
moments of her hitting high notes or anything like that. um Also, I think that some of the songs, like some of the slower songs, are very, like anybody could have sang those, like they're very studio floor, like, oh, here's, do you like this, here you go.
Which is like
um
such a bummer because when we saw her and Selena singing I Could Fall in Love,
yeah.
I know those aren't her vocals, but she performs that scene so fucking well. And so I wanted something like that.
Yes. I mean, when we talked about Selena, I said like I had to, even when I listened to that song, just like Sans movie and everything, I think of that scene in the movie of
Yeah.
J-Lo singing it. And I have to like remember that she's not singing the song. Like in my mind, that song is J-Lo's song. And it's not at all.
Interesting.
Like, and
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, it's funny. The other day I was thinking about this because it's kind of like, it's probably the only thing you can really like take away from J-Lo is that she's not a strong singer. Like she's a pretty strong dancer. She's a pretty good actress. She's gorgeous and she has great fashion style. So to me, she's a fashion icon.
Mhm.
But like in all of the stuff that she does, like singing is her, like the least, I don't know how it's the one thing she's not the best at. Like
Yeah.
she's just okay at it.
She'd get like a
And
B plus instead of an A
yeah,
plus.
we're like would I give her a B plus?
A solid B, a solid 85,
I don't even know.
80%.
I
Is
mean,
she meeting standards or below standards?
to me, she's meeting standards because
Okay.
I don't expect too much. So it's fine to me. And I think her selection of songs and like as we get into other stuff, like her collaborations and stuff like that only helps her. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is like where she's just smart about how she approaches stuff and how she
Mm.
chooses stuff. But this album, I just think we get the standard first album, you know, where you kind of have like an idea of what you want to do, but you're filling out like how to do that. And then I think J Lo is more of a statement to me of like this album showcases kind of who she is, but I feel like J Lo, we really get like this is who J Lo is in a way
Mm. Oh,
because it's
yeah.
so different from this album. But so going back to Little Raj after that long ass tangent.
No, that was really good. That like everything I'm literally taking notes on what you're saying because you sound so good right now.
Oh my
I'm
god!
not
Thank you.
joking.
um, Going back to Little Raj, I would say that he probably would think that some of these songs aren't signature songs of like
Mm.
her. Like you could have thrown these on someone else's album. Like I said, some of the slow songs reminded me of Tony Braxton. Um, I know that Let's Get Loud was supposed to be a Gloria Estefan song, and they
Oh.
instead gave it to Jennifer. And I could totally hear that now. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense. Um, but yeah, so that's part of why I think he would give it 3 stars. When I said 2.5, I think Little Raj always is lower than I would score it.
You were being
So
conservative.
so I think the 2.5 is like probably him being harsher than I would in terms
Mm.
of
Mm-hmm.
rating it. So yeah. Should I ask you the same or should we just my
Um,
rants?
well, let's see. Just I'll have you follow up with this follow-up question is if Lil Raj gives this three, wait, no, you said Lil Raj gives this 2.5, so you would give this 3 good pumps of butter.
I would give it 3.5.
Okay.
And like part of me, again, just like with Wedding Singer, part of me wants to give it 4 just for the sake of nostalgia. Like this
Uh-huh.
album sounds so 2000s to me.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was in whatever room she was on the album cover, like in all white,
Mm-hmm.
chilling, like with a CD player, sans smartphone with a little Nokia or something, like just living my best 2000s life. So extra stars for nostalgia, but yeah, I think 3.5 is like a realistic rating.
Yeah. I would
And
agree.
critically, like I feel like it's like people were kind and were like, oh, this isn't as bad as we might have anticipated a movie star making a CD. So it's not bad, but it wasn't raving. And I think that just fans enjoying it so much and like the music videos too probably helped like in terms of sales and stuff.
Yeah.
And also Puff Daddy.
So, in speaking of Puff Daddy, Bria, do you think we should segment on to relationships?
Yes, let's get into JLo's personal life, which I'm gonna try to like not be too opinionated on.
Well, it sounds like it wasn't just you who had a lot of opinions on these relationships because poor JLo in these interviews that we've been watching alongside her movies, they also po uh like nag her about her dating life and her personal life and stuff. Of course, like with a beautiful woman, a lot of all of the male talk show hosts asked her, like, are you single? Are you seeing anyone? And if it was publicly known that she was seeing someone, they wanted to know a lot about her private life and her relationship. But towards this time now, the headlines about her relationship start to change, and we are getting this side of J Lo that really struggles. I don't know. I think with like a kind of a chronic dating issue, but
I I said I was going to try to not be so opinionated, but I think that this might be her personal like kryptonite. Like singing's her professional kryptonite, and I
oh
think dating is her personal life kryptonite because she, for as beautiful as she seems to, and she said this about herself. This isn't purely just me judging her, but that she jumps from relationship to relationship. A way for her to get over a breakup is like in someone else's arms, essentially.
yeah.
And it just, when you look at the, like, we were going to talk about pretty much kind of on the six, J Lo and all that stuff, but we couldn't because this would be ridiculously long because she goes from being married to Ohani Noah to being divorced, dating Puffy, breaking up with Puffy, marrying Chris Judd, divorcing Chris Judd, getting with Ben Affleck, being engaged to Ben Affleck, big breakup, and then eventually Mark Anthony. So it's just like that. The dating segment of this alone would be like an hour.
At least.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but what I want to talk about with we're focusing more so on Puffy because she barely talks about Ohani Noah when they're
Mhm.
married, and I think that's smart of her. Puffy is her biggest and first celebrity relationship. Um,
Yeah,
her husband before was relatively unknown, but Puff Daddy is an entity all in of himself at this point. I did watch the video that she was in, and kind of what I think sparked their friendship
mhm.
relationship. And you can tell, like, he's like, I gotta get that girl. Like, he is dancing so badly with her, but like, I feel like you can tell he just wanted her in it, and he like had a vision essentially of her, and she's like low-key his muse. And in Mark Anthony's video, and I might be butchering the name of the song, No Me Conoces, she's very much like the muse of that video too. That video is just like another telenovela about love and stuff. And it's damn near a movie. And both these videos, No Me Conoces is like 8 minutes and 45 seconds. And then Been Around the World. Granted, JLo's part isn't that long or big in it, but Been Around the World is like a mini movie video too. It's like 10 minutes long.
Mhm.
And but yeah, I think that this is definitely a power couple. It's probably like one of the first power couples of the 90s 2000s that we like
I would
really
agree with
see
that.
that is like huge like that. And then of course they have the nightclub incident with the shooting. That's like a
Mhm.
big deal and kind of spells trouble, and almost, that's not the reason she said they broke up, but I think it plays into it a bit.
Yeah, and this was the first time that I remember Jennifer being on the press for something that scandalous. I mean, like
Yes.
wardrobe aside, but like this was on something of like, oh, she was involved in a shooting. Like,
Yes, JLo has a mug shot.
yeah,
Like,
what? Like, so I could see her feeling very, what's the word I'm thinking? I'm not intimidated, threatened by this like setback and having
yeah.
this be a downfall in their relationship.
And I think when she gets interviewed about it, she does a good job of being like, we try not to dwell on it. We're trying to move past. There's a lot I can't say about it because it's a legal issue, but
Uh-huh.
she tries to make it seem like it's bringing them closer because, they did go through something traumatic together.
Yeah.
Like someone threatened their lives in a way. And luckily got out of that situation. But they kind of trauma bonded in a way
Yeah.
in that. But she did say that she like that's the only or the first relationship where she got cheated on. And I was like,
Oh,
Puffy,
have you
how could you?
dumbass?
Yes. How? Why? But I think he had just had a child with Kim Porter, who is
Mm-hmm.
Christian Combs. And
Mm-hmm.
I think he was like back and forth. I think he saw the power of him and Jennifer Lopez, but
Yeah.
then probably not saying that he didn't love her, but I think the relationship you have with the mother of your child is always different. And it's
Yeah.
an infamous, like, you know, is this going to be an issue type thing sometimes? And I think it was an issue.
Yeah.
Um, there's a Jet magazine cover that I saved, and I saved it because it says Puffy Combs and Jennifer Lopez, showbiz's most talked about couple, and they're in like these amazing outfits. That's another thing about them as a couple.
Yes, their
They,
power couple outfits
yes,
are
they always look so good
so
together.
good. Yes.
And then there's a People cover where it's like Jennifer Lopez and Puff Daddy, her high risk romance. Their night out ends in gunfire, a police chase, his arrest, and lots of questions. Like, if this happened today, it would still be like major news. You'd be
Oh
like,
yeah.
what? Like,
Yeah. Anytime a celebrity is involved with like gun violence, whether it be towards them or someone else, like it makes major, major headlines.
yeah.
And I think too, like maybe with some of like Puff Daddy's history previously as a young rapper, um, I feel like if someone were to be next to him or with him and have it be publicized that there was a shooting, like I wonder how many people's minds would jump to like it's a gang incident rather
But see,
than not being a like it was about like their personal safety. You know what I mean?
I think at that time too is just a general like way, especially with East Coast West Coast beef.
Yeah.
Like I think Biggie had just died, Tupac had just died prior to that, so it's easy to label anything like violent with hip hop as like a gangsta issue.
Mm-hmm.
When I think this was in a way, but not because of Puffy. It was because the guys who initiated it, they were very much, they weren't rappers or anything, but they were street dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what problem exactly they had with Puffy, but like he's a dude of certain stature, so he's not just going to take it either. So he had words with them and then stuff ensued. And unfortunately, J-Lo is just along for the ride, essentially, and gets caught up in it. I think, did you see the rumor that when she was in jail, she like asked for somebody to get her cuticle cream?
No.
It's just like another like story trying to make her into like this huge diva, and she's like, that's not true. Like I was angry, I was crying, but I'm not gonna ask someone to get me cute. Like
Oh
all
my
the
God,
things I
that's
could be thinking
outrageous.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, she's like traumatized from what happened and what she just experienced. Jeez.
But I kind of wish that this relationship worked. I think a lot of people at a certain point were hoping like maybe they would get back together. But I think this also probably taught her a lot about dating a
I think so
celebrity.
too. Yeah.
And I think it would be great to segue from JLo and Puffy, unless you have opinions. I feel like I talked a ton.
Again, oh my gosh, I'm taking more notes. You were schooling me. It was great. I think we can use your point of what you had said about the epic wardrobe matching as a way to discuss some of Jennifer Lopez's other amazing wardrobe pieces that don't relate to Puff Daddy.
I mean, but we have to talk about a few that
Oh, oh,
relate to him.
oh, 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 for sure, for sure, for sure. But she did some really great solo things too.
Yes, yes. I was very tempted, like Selena, to just like collage a bunch of like pretty much Pinterest post of Jennifer Lopez in the 99 early 2000s. But I withheld. But there's so many amazing looks. So I have a question for you. When you think about Jennifer Lopez fashion, like what are a few things that come to mind?
The Versace dress, right? That was Versace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Um, Sequins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the color gold.
Yes. Because that like glowy
She's so dewy
bronzed.
and glowy. Yeah.
Yes. And this is where we get that JLo because I feel like 90s JLo primarily was like matte and like browns and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but not the JLo glow that we all know
Yeah.
that she is like her brand now.
Totally. Yeah. It was a lot
Um
of like more neutral, dark colors in her early 90s, but the after she releases on the 6th, we start to see like a lot more of this like dewy glam look. And it's so
yeah, lighter hair.
lighter. Yeah, she has. Oh, yeah, totally. We talked about that in Made in Manhattan or Wedding Planner. How she had like highlighted hair for
Yeah.
this, and yeah.
So, I mean, let's talk about the dress because I
Okay.
that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, the Versace dress is everything, and it's something that if it's not in the Smithsonian, it should be. Right next to Bjork's swan dress.
Her swan dress.
But I hope that if it's not in the Smithsonian, that JLo has it forever. Like that is something that she is going to be remembered by well into her golden years.
Yes.
And so my first memory of this was watching her step out of the red carpet live and being shooketh at the skin because even though women were beginning, I mean, we're releasing more like sexually forward songs, we're showing more skin. I still feel like award shows were always fairly modest. And so
Mm-hmm.
this felt like such a controversy that I almost thought my mom was going to have to like put her hands over my eyes because it was a lot of boob. It's a lot of
Yeah.
breasts. I was like, wow.
It really wasn't though. Like Little
No, it's
Kim's
not today, but in that time it
2000.
was. It
Yeah.
was.
So I don't know if I saw this live, but I feel like I either saw like news reporting like after the Grammys, like Jennifer Lopez at the Grammys. Like it was definitely a
And it was
huge deal.
plastered over magazines. It was on the next
Yes.
day news. Like people were talking about it.
Yes, she's on the cover of People Best Worst and Least Dressed of 2000. She's in the inside of People. There's an ad for People with her in the dress that says, "Have you ever wanted all eyes on you? Find yourself in People Week." Like,
Wow.
there's articles about how she held the like dress up, and
Hmm.
there's little blurbs from designers with their theories about how she did it. One asshole was like, maybe she has her nipples pierced and it's hooked on. What?
No.
Go
Would be
shoot
able to see
yourself.
them through her shirt.
But so, I mean, the amazing thing about this dress is that when Jennifer Lopez talks about it, even to this day, she's like, I saw the dress. Donatella wore it.
Hmm.
Jerry Halliwell, Spice
Hmm.
Girl, Ginger Spice, wore
Hmm.
it. So people had already worn the dress, and she was picking out dress. She was on the set of the wedding planner when she had to figure out what she was going to wear for the Grammys.
Ooh.
But so they're prepping, and they have like or a rack or two of dresses and stuff. And she says she tries it on, and she walks out, and everyone's like, "That's it."
Uh-huh.
The fashion person is like, other people have worn that dress, like, and usually that's a big deal. Like you have those article where it's like, who wore it best, or like, bitch stole my look.
Right.
So you have that like, do I wear something that has already been seen maybe and like might not be that great?
Hmm.
But it's amazing because when you look at Donatella in it and you look at Jerry Halliwell in it, it doesn't give the same like
It
power.
I totally agree. I totally agree. It feels like there's something about the way it looks on Jennifer Lopez's complexion and her like general body shape. Um, it just looked like it was made for her.
Yeah. And so I think a big part of this is styling. I mean, not to hate on Donatella Versace, but compared to
Yeah.
JLo, she's not really, even Jerry Halliwell, she's on the bottom of who wore it best. And then Jerry Halliwell, she has long straight hair. You can barely tell that it's like this plunging neckline on
Mm-hmm.
her.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks like a robe on her, kind of like a caftan sort of thing. Like you're not like, oh, the nudity, the body of it all.
Right, right.
I think JLo having her hair half up, half down, it opens up her chest area. There's no hair in the way. So
Yes,
you
if she had her hair
see,
all down, her like clavicle and chest would all be covered. And we
yeah,
wouldn't be able to see as much breast.
yeah. And I think so. She said that she taped it on the side, which
Mm-hmm.
she had been doing prior to this. So she was like kind of shocked it was a big deal, but she taped it, which is like a
That's a
regular
very
schmegular
normal
thing
thing.
now. Yeah. And then she said the way it's built inside, like it has a panty and then it has like, I think some kind of bralette or something inside.
Mm-hmm.
But the way she taped it, I think plays a big part in it because she
Mm-hmm.
taped it fairly wide. And I think her breast size too, because she doesn't have huge boobs. So she like can get away with a generous like inch in
Mm-hmm.
more so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just everything that she chose to do, or her stylist, or whoever the fuck is responsible for all of this greatness, stands out
Yeah.
100%. And just the glow and the tan of it all and everything is just still amazing.
Yeah.
And
It's so fabulous.
yeah, I know that recently I've seen people like just, let it rest. Like, we get it. Like, but this was like huge and it spawned Google Images. Like, she was like the
Oh,
fourth
yeah.
most searched thing on the internet, like after that. And then the 13th was the dress itself. Like, it was a huge thing. And I think there's certain looks like this that just are always going to be like iconic and memorable. Like, I also remember later on, um what's her name, Dita Von Teese, at
Mm-hmm.
the VMAs, I think, when she was dating Marilyn Manson. She was
Yes.
damn near naked.
Yes.
Like, just strings of like jewels, I think, like in this very,
Yes.
very barely there thing.
Very barely there thing.
But like, that's something that's memorable. And if she like toted that out again, I wouldn't be mad at her because like she did that.
Yeah.
And I know that JLo walked in a Versace fashion show honoring like the print of this dress, because after this like huge thing, the print that they used for this dress, like they've kind of always done something similar or with it. And so
Mm-hmm.
they did like a fashion show honoring the dress and the print. And I know people were like, oh my God, like we get it, like just let it die. But I think it's beautiful to honor stuff like that. So let JLo live. I would,
Yeah.
hell, they should bury her in this fucking
That's
dress.
what I was
Like,
thinking earlier, but I didn't want to sound so morbid. Like,
I mean, Selena was buried in her purple outfit. So
legend, it's meant to be.
yeah. And then besides the dress, like I keep always bringing up her VMA outfit, the white
Mm-hmm.
outfit,
Yeah.
with the bandana. And it's funny because it was on someone's like her misses for
Yeah.
somebody. And I was like, that is not a miss, okay? I don't care what you think. That is not a miss. But you definitely, I think after the Versace moment, JLo leans into like sexier
High
clothing
fashion.
options.
Yeah,
Yeah. And,
definitely.
and like I feel like there's nothing she can wear, I've seen her in sweatpants, and then obviously the iconic Juicy Couture sweatsuits later on,
Oh my gosh.
where on my mom, it looks like a sweatsuit. On me, it looks like a sweatsuit, but like on her, like it's like a moment. It's like wow. Like, so she just has like she has that thing. I don't doing this much research on her, like I can't stand how effortlessly
Well,
amazing she looks.
well, it's like some people can just pull off different kinds of looks. Like I see it in influencer styles now. They're kind of going back to like 90s street fashion with the really baggy pants, and they're high-waisted with lots of rips and holes in them, and clunky shoes, and like athletic street style mixed in with that too, with like nylon wicka kind of like wicker jackets, like wind jackets, windbreakers.
Okay, yeah. I
Um,
think I think now I've seen too on TikTok and social media, it's like, does this look good on somebody
well,
or
yes,
are you
exactly.
skinny?
Yes,
Like,
well, that's what I was trying to say, was that like there are these fashions that come back, and I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that there are certain things that should come back, or like or that like not all people can pull off. But
yeah.
J Lo's one of those people who I think can really pull off anything. I don't remember seeing a lot of pictures of her in those magazines and agreeing with like, yeah, I think that looks bad. Like I think for the most part, I disagreed.
And I think that JLo has really strong personal style.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something like I want to achieve because I'm tired of like being like, oh, I need to throw this out because this isn't trendy anymore, only for stuff to come right back around.
Yeah.
When you have really strong personal style, like you have like most of your clothes are always going to work just because that's like your style. And I feel like she also is a style icon because I feel like a lot of people, like I believe Kim Kardashian, like was inspired by JLo's style.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the 2000s, like I feel like a lot of like I credit her for like the Juicy Couture tracksuit like phenomenon. Like
Yeah.
because to me it looked best on her. I know that other people wore it, Britney Spears wore it, Paris Hilton, all that stuff, but like in my mind, like she pulled it off like
Mm-hmm.
best and phenomenally. So much so that she winds up creating a clothing line featuring some of those tracksuits. But yeah, so I didn't pull up a bunch of pictures of other outfits. We mostly just talked about the dress. And then I think when we talk about um the J Lo era, when we
Mm-hmm.
finally get J Lo, there's going to be so much more to talk about.
Yes. So I think now that we've discussed her debut album of On the 6th in June of 99, and we also kind of skipped down memory lane of talking about old music videos and memories of like either experiencing these things, should we end this mini ep and wait to get to J-Lo for the next few episodes?
Yes, yes. Any closing thoughts on this 2-year time frame?
I wrote down what you said about professional kryptonite being her singing and her personal kryptonite is relationships, because I thought that that was so damn clever.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I would just like to close out with I think that this is where we truly see her star rise in many, many ways. And she truly becomes a celebrity at this point. Prior to this, she was an actress,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's this interest in her personal life, there's this interest in what she's wearing, and she is working the hell out of all those avenues. And in a lot of interviews too, she's like she's very conscious of like what she's putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will play into the J-Lo persona and stuff that we get later. I also think that, to me, the reason Jennifer Lopez is so iconic and important to this time is because she's like one of the few, I feel like, really glamorous like stars at this time. Like you
Mm-hmm.
you have like celebrities who of course are interesting, who are beautiful. They're all fucking beautiful to some extent, or good looking. And but I think the glamour of J-Lo is like really what, like, I don't know, it differentiates her in a very strong way. Sure, she
Mm-hmm.
has a nice body. Sure, she has, a butt that's like becoming um coveted and like accepted by mainstream media. But she's really glamorous too. And I think part of that is because she started out as an actress and did music, because even though she's going to like the VMAs and the Grammys and stuff, and the Versace dresses, the Grammys,
Mm-hmm.
she's also going to the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and she has way more red carpet opportunities than the average like pop star at that time. Like, I don't think Britney Spears was pulling up at the Oscars.
That's a
Like,
really good point.
so she has this beautiful duality of being Jenny from the block, but also being this glamorous like movie star and having the looks and everything to back it up. So those are my last ranty thoughts.
I'm gonna give that a big old mwah, a big chef's kiss. That was so beautifully said, and I think that that is a really great way to end this episode.
Yay,
So,
well, I had fun.
me too. Me too. It was fun to just kind of like riff and talk about old memories and turning into the new millennium. My mom
Yeah,
was drinking so much champagne.
so or drinking Fruitopia, I miss Fruitopia. So if I tell you you need to watch the rest of her music videos, is that declaration going to make you less likely to watch them?
I'll watch them. I'll watch them.
If anything, watch No Me Ames, please. All right. Thank you guys for listening to us drivel on about pop culture, JLo things, and her outfits, her relationship, and her music. And tune into next week.
Yes, we are back on track next week talking about her next film after. And so we'll be discussing that next week. And so in the meantime, keep on going down that IMDb rabbit hole with us.